Hey, Sanford!
Welcome to Hey Sanford. My name is Shawn Sullivan. I'm your host, and this here is...
James Harmon.
James Harmon. And James, you are?
I'm a video teacher at Sanford Regional Technical Center, and just thought that it would be an awesome idea to start a Sanford podcast. Ricky, our producer, came to me with the idea first, and both of us were thinking, hey, you know who would make a great host?
Oh, no.
Shawn Sullivan.
Well, thank you, James.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking. This has been fun.
Yeah.
The Ricky, by the way, he was the guy who said, Hey Sanford, before the opening jingle.
Yeah.
And that jingle, by the way, was created by Odin Kammerer, a student, actually a graduate, class of 2019 of Sanford Regional Technical Center, where we find ourselves right now. We're recording this live in the studio at the new Sanford High School in SRTC.
It's an amazing facility. Got some great lights, great equipment. Can't think of a better way to make some use of it. So thanks for joining us today, everybody.
And in addition to Odin, there's somebody else we'd like to thank. Etain Cullen is our editor, correct?
Correct.
Yes, she helped us with some of the interviews that we'll be doing and did a great job.
Awesome job.
Okay, so James, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Shawn?
I'm doing well. Summer's here. You have any big plans?
Big plans. Well, in this very studio, we're going to make it look like an apartment, and we're going to make a short film for the Sanford International Film Festival right here.
No kidding. What's
Action
the film?
movie. It's a crime film written by a local guy, Manly Irish.
Yes.
The film is called Staring Down a Barrel, and it's pretty intense.
And that'll
it's gonna
be this
a lot
summer.
of fun. Yeah.
So you have plans. I actually don't have any plans. I just returned from a family trip to Virginia, and now don't know what's next.
That's amazing, Shawn.
I'll
Enjoy
take
that.
it as it comes.
Yeah. Well, one thing, we've got a podcast.
We have a podcast to do. Okay, yes, that's what I'll be doing this summer, folks. I'll be doing the podcast all summer long.
That's right.
Yes. So I'll tell you what. We have a big show for you planned. We have Mayor Tom Cote, the first guest of this podcast, Hey Sanford. And then after that, we'll have a musical guest, too, B-Side, which is Larry Robertson and Josh Randall. And together they have a new album out, and they're going to perform 2 songs from that album. And so we have that to look forward to as well.
Stick around. It's going to be awesome.
All right, so you're going to hear that jingle again, and after that, it'll be Mayor Tom Cote here on Hey Sanford. All right, welcome back. We're going to jump right in. We have our first guest for our very first podcast. It is Mayor Tom Cote, the mayor of Sanford. Welcome. Welcome to Hey Sanford.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's exciting.
Yes, brand new adventure. We'll see how it goes. Now, in terms of interviews, I've interviewed you back in my Sanford News days and even with the Co-Star, so I know in print. And I know you've been on television and on radio. Is this your first podcast interview?
It is. I had asked my kids what a podcast was exactly. They assured me we wouldn't be filming. Here we are filming. So
yes,
it is what it is. So I'm glad I'm wearing clothes.
Yes,
so, yeah.
we are here at Sanford High School. Its new studio, James Harmon's studio, and Sarah Schnell's. And yes, this is very nice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's really well done.
It's my first podcast as well, so we'll find our way through this together.
You got it.
First thing I want to ask you, as mayor, what about Sanford right now? Current developments are you most excited about that you would hope that all of us listening right now would be excited about as well?
Yeah, there's a few things. But one of the things that really comes to mind initially is the broadband expansion or creation thereof of this broadband network we're working on, and it's gosh, I've been working on this with the city manager and various people for the entire time I've been mayor, which is going on 6 years here. So
wow.
We sort of talking about it conceptually, when I first started, and now we're rolling out fiber as we speak. So there's 40 plus miles of fiber optic cable being laid out throughout the community. And,
that's incredible.
It is.
And the city had to go out and get this, right? Because there's again, not very good with the technical language, but the binder was in Wells and just missed Sanford, right?
Yeah.
So Sanford went out, you and others, and created this opportunity for us so that we can have broadband. What will be some of the benefits of that?
Well, from a business perspective, it's really the key benefit. So if you have businesses that need to move, large amounts of data over the internet, which is it's becoming sort of a necessity for most businesses that do any sort of, communication to the outside world to be able to communicate effectively, but also with large files, things of that nature. It's going to help us attract new businesses, folks, that would be in the software business, for example, any kind of software development that, you need to move these files from one place to another. You couldn't do that currently in Sanford. So, it's becoming sort of this basic infrastructure that every community needs, but we're going sort of above that and offering sort of the state-of-the-art, best of the best, and putting Sanford sort of in this, highly competitive area of a few communities around the country that offer this kind of service. So for us, we're looking for those differentiating factors that separate us from, Wells and Kennebunk and whoever, because we need it, obviously. So we've got some ground to cover, some ground to make up. And I think this is one of those things that is really a good economic engine for us.
Very nice. It's supposed to create jobs, a lot of revenue. Yeah. And that started in November, correct? That's when the sign went up in Central Park.
Yeah, the sign went up. There was a lot of details, a lot of things that needed to occur before actually we started laying fiber. Things as simple as you attach them to the telephone poles. Well, some of those wires up there are in the wrong spots currently. So it's a matter of this company moving their wire down and us moving our wires up, and that was a really tedious process that went on for way, way, way too long. But we're beyond that now, though. And the city manager, Steve Buck, has done an amazing job just navigating this process, which is really sort of uncharted waters. No one's doing this like we're doing it.
When is it supposed to be complete?
It's upon us. It's happening.
Nice. Yeah. So if you're a resident with the internet at home, what benefits should you be able to see?
I think long term you're going to see benefits. I think initially what you're going to see is a happier business community. Really, the initial build out is to service the businesses and attract businesses. Long term, this will roll out to the community as far as residential service. So that's exciting as far as the ability to have really high speed internet to your home, your premise, whatever it is you work at or reside. That's going to be huge. So, there's claims out there that, yes, we have fiber running all over the place, and that's really not the case. It's a lot more marketing than reality. So, right. And from a residential attraction, long-term, we'll be able to attract folks who work from home. So come up to Maine, enjoy the Maine lifestyle, work from your home, and, whatever business you're in, whether it's software development, you're in business development, whatever it is, working remotely, that's a great feature to have, that you have this really high-speed internet at your fingertips.
Plug Sanford into the world.
Absolutely.
Brings the world to Sanford.
And we're going from having some of the worst connectivity to the best connectivity anywhere available. Yeah. So it's a pretty good switch.
Nice. Yeah. What would you say are some of the, unresolved challenges or things that the city's still working on, you and the council and the city manager and his administration? What would you say needs the attention right now and is unresolved, and how you hope it will be resolved?
One of the things we talk about constantly is housing. If you look back, we've got these massive mill structures that were built, in late 1800s that attracted thousands and thousands of people. And my ancestors for sure came down to work in the mills, and a lot of the people came in about 1900 to 1910, 1920. So these, we have lots and lots of mill housing that went up. And those mills are obviously long gone. Those businesses are long gone. So rather than employing thousands of jobs there, they're basically mostly empty or have some different uses now. But the housing still remains, right? And a lot of that housing is really reached its sort of lifespan. It's beyond its useful lifespan, and you see it. It's we have people in the community living in really poor conditions. So we talk a lot about that problem, that issue. We've got a massive base. We've 33% of our population lives in apartment buildings, and the majority of those were built sort of before 1930, and they don't put out a lot as far as tax income. So if you own a single family home in Sanford, you pay a lot more than a multifamily unit sort of contributes. And boy, that's a hard problem to figure out.
An ongoing issue.
We've taken down some buildings that were condemned and are vacant and things of that nature. We're going to continue to do that. But we also want to incentivize the redevelopment of these structures as well. So how do we promote sort of an injection of investment into certain communities that really need it? So that's sort of the next phase of this, is how do we attract new residents by saying, hey, come to our community. We can help you with these kind of resources to maybe take over an abandoned building or dilapidated multifamily and fix it up, move in, live there, and contribute to the economy in a positive way.
And this is an issue that persisted for decades,
Yeah,
and is
it
only
did.
newly, actually, on your watch the last several years, started to really dive into and
Yeah.
address and acknowledge.
Yeah.
So, I want to talk about leadership. I'm
Okay.
fascinated by leadership, and let's see. You were first elected in 2013.
That's right.
First
Yeah.
popularly elected mayor
Mm-hmm.
in the city of Sanford. We became a city was in 2013, right? We approved it in 2012 at the polls. We
Right.
agreed this is
That's
what we're going to do.
yes.
And on New Year's Day, we woke up, we were a city. And you were elected mayor in 2013 to a 2-year term, right?
3-year term.
The first one was 3
Yeah,
years. Okay. And let's see, you were in a race, a 3-way race, and you acquired, I think it was about 67%, 70% of the vote.
Yeah.
I don't have the statistic in front of me, but it was a clear victory. And the thing that impressed me is that in the next 2 elections, you got 100% of the vote.
Of those who voted,
Yes,
yes.
100% of the. You only usually see that in dictator countries. In a democracy, that's very impressive.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. This past go around, I'm beginning
Yes.
to think, am I the person that doesn't really understand?
It's for everybody out there,
Yeah.
as they probably well know. I mean, you were unchallenged in your bids for reelection.
That's right, yeah.
And this is your final term, right? According to the
is,
charter, this
yeah.
is it. And one thing I wanted to ask you, you had never before run for public office, correct? This was your first foray.
That's right. Yeah.
You had served on the budget committee, right?
For,
Which is
for
appointed.
a season, yeah, right.
So that was an appointed position,
Mm-hmm.
but to actually throw your hat in the proverbial ring and get out there and with signs and running and put yourself on the ballot. This was your first foray. What made you decide to seek the newly created mayor's position?
That's a great question. I think I'd answer that differently then than I would now, probably. Back then, I was sort of a wide-eyed, excited young fella that had lots of big ideas, and I thought I had a lot of the solutions sort of in my head, sort of wrapped up. When you dive into the noise and you do it for a couple of years, you realize it's not quite as simple as you might imagine it's going to be. Why did I seek the mayorship versus the council? I think I wanted to have a bigger voice, to be honest. I mean, it just is what it is. I felt like I had something to offer, some perspectives. I'd recently lived in Nashua or Merrimack, New Hampshire, then moved back, but I'm from here. I don't sell anything to this town. I don't really do business in this town. I don't owe anybody anything. I felt that was a different approach to come in and just be like, I can sort of operate independently, if you will, and focus on the problems and the bigger issues than I felt was occurring before I got here. And we've done that for the most part. We've some things have probably been ignored probably longer than they should, but we've built this amazing new high school. We're rolling out the state's largest broadband network. We're clearing the fields right now for the state's largest solar array. It's going to contribute tons of taxable income to the community. Yeah, we worked like heck to try to get an amusement attraction in South Sanford. There's a lot of things we did and continue to do that are foundational issues that I felt really weren't being addressed, and there was a lot of sort of circling, if you will. So I felt like I had that ability to come in and try to take. Not control, because it's not the right word, just sort of charge. I wanted to help that group, focus on goals and the direction.
I remember you saying in the beginning when you and I would speak that you wanted to create in Sanford a culture of winning. Mm-hmm. What are some of the ways that you've tried to do that over the past 7 years now?
I think it's a couple different ways to look at this, and some of it is expectations and sort of accountability. I think we've growing up in Sanford, you're willing to sort of concede certain things and behaviors, and I think we've reached a point where we can no longer concede some of those things. We have to expect more from ourselves and our residents, and until you do that, you can't really expect to sort of gain traction to win. And as you suggested, I'm sure I said 8 years ago, whatever it was. Cleaning up the blight, for example, we won't have it. if people come into this community and they see dilapidated houses and trash on front lawns and things of that nature, or the grass is 2 feet high, this says a lot about us and what we're willing to sort of put up with. So I think that changing of that mentality and enforcing some rules that, while sort of unpopular at the time, now people sort of, hey, you know what, let's take care of those dilapidated buildings. It's a change of mentality that I think is long overdue. Fixing up the downtown, the Mill District, the Midtown Mall, we've got some new life in there, things of that nature where, gosh, those things sat, forever. The old General Lumber building that was like that when we were kids here.
The reinvention and the revitalization, it's in evidence.
It's slow.
It's slow but sure,
yeah.
And is spreading. It's spreading throughout the downtown.
Well, good. It is, and it's so important because you try to attract young families or whoever. You got this brand new state of the art high school, and you kind of look around. You're like, I'm not so sure everything's all set here. So it's like one project at a time, and just start nailing them. Sort of checklist,
right. And at one point, it reaches a tipping point.
You reach some critical mass, and you go, we're starting to achieve some things. There's a lot of pride in the community, and there's also, unfortunately, we have 30, 40 people who get on social media and just have a really big voice and knock it down constantly. But there's folks like yourself, thank you, that view the world in an optimistic perspective, and it means a lot. And there's a lot more people that view it that way than the negative, from what I've seen. It
is a leadership question. How do you, knowing that element is out there and expresses themselves in that way, that not a constructively critical way, but actually in a negative way, in a pessimistic way.
Yeah.
How do you, as mayor of Sanford, how do you deal with that when you hear it, come across it?
I don't come across it nearly as much as you think I would, right? So that there's a big voice on social media, and those people hardly ever contact me. I mean, I'm aware of it. I know generally who they are. The number of times people have called me about a particular topic is probably less than 25 in the 6 years. I mean, since I say it in all sincerity, it hardly ever happens. So then I'll actually see Pam's like, oh, did so and so contact you? No, that didn't happen. So that happens a lot, right? So, I don't care that much. Maybe I should. I know where we need to get to. I've probably hurt some feelings along the way. It's not all,
well, there is
kissing babies and petting dogs. There's a lot of decisions that need to be made. And I think when people get on the council, they go, oh, wow, this is kind of uncomfortable.
Yes, I've seen that time again in my newspaper days where they run, then they're elected, and then once they're seated, they see how challenging.
And I went through that too. I mean, we had to put up the first year we were putting up the cell tower in Springvale. I'm like, boy, people are upset about this, and I didn't know quite what to do. And so right out of the gate, you got to make these decisions that someone's got to be unhappy about, and so you navigate, you do the best you can. But generally, I for better or worse, I'm somewhat indifferent of a person. I don't get caught up in sort of people's impressions of me, and I know I'm doing the best I can. That's it. And so that's I've been that way probably my whole life. probably should care a little more, well. But yeah, it is what it is. So
who do you draw upon for inspiration, whether it's somebody in your own life, somebody in the national or global stage? Who are some of the leaders that you are impressed with and try to take lessons from or emulate as you work with your colleagues to lead Sanford?
I don't know if there's a person I try to emulate. I mean, my parents are great people. They my dad's one of those guys that always did the right thing. If he pulled over my grandmother for speeding, he'd give her a ticket. He's one of those kind of guys, his voice is big in my head. Pam and the girls, I'm well grounded. I get lots of advice, it's a hard one. And not that I look up to lots of people, and there's people within our organization that do an amazing job every day. Steve Buck is a guy that, our city manager, that just works endless amounts of hours. And he's not even from here. He's from the county. And he looks after our community like he did grow up here. And I see those kind of people doing their thing. And, the Jim Nyman from the Growth Council, just an eternally optimistic, positive guy. I'm like, okay, I need some more of that in my life. I need some more positivity. So there's people you gravitate to in certain spots and sort of help you, navigate the roads.
Right, the healthy kind of optimism, not the
Yeah.
Pollyanna, red-tinted,
right,
rose-tinted
no.
glasses, but the kind that believes in favorable outcomes and works towards
Well,
them.
but that you can,
Mhm.
right? So if you give up and say there's nothing we can do here,
Then you're
we
right,
might as
nothing.
well not be there. You know?
Right.
So there's an end. You know what it looks like. It's just getting there is a very sometimes bumpy road.
I don't know if a lot of listeners know, they see you on TV and they see you at public events. What they might not know is that are you a lifelong surfer going back to perhaps teenage years? or
Yeah,
did you pick it up
teenage
in
years for
college?
sure, but then I hung it up for a very long time.
Really? How did you
Yeah.
come across it?
Back in the teenage years, we spent really a lot of time at the beach, Wells Beach, and we finally moved down there. We bought my grandparents' house, a little tiny house that's still there in Wells, and we lived there year round. And so summers from college or whatever, I would spend there, and I just took it up at that point, and it was something I did not probably as much as I do now. If it sounds
What does
crazy,
it do for you? Does it clear the head
it
or
clears
just
the head.
fun?
I mean, when you're surfing, you really can't think of anything else. You're sort of really focused on the moment, and worrying about the challenges of the mayorship or your day life is not an option. It's just you really got to kind of remain focused. But then there's points where it is a lull, and then it's sort of blissful to kind of hang out, and a seal will pop its head up, or you'll see a fin off in the distance, and that's
Really?
interesting, yeah. And so and you don't
No
think
shark
much
fins,
about
I
it.
hope. But
I don't worry about that.
You don't
kind of
worry
stuff.
about
I
that?
don't, literally. If you're gonna go out, a shark attack is,
how far out would you
cool
go?
is that, right?
I've never surfed, so I don't know. How far
it
out
depends. It depends on the swell and the directions of the wind and everything. Every day is a different thing. So you could be well over your head, or you could be in 2 feet. It's
So do you get out there when they have these big hurricane warnings? And they say, don't go to the beach. Do you actually?
that's not the best.
Not trying to set you
time.
up to be a bad example or anything.
No,
but,
that's not the best time to go. The best time to go is actually right after that.
After
so the
that,
waves during the big, the hurricanes that roll through, it's very disorganized. The waves are all over the place. You see that, right? It's just all white caps, right? It's just nastiness out there. Directly after that, though, is usually when the winds calm down, but the waves are still there, and they're much better formed. Everything is very
Really?
organized. So it was actually last September. So I go year round. I've been. You say getting ready for summer. Summer's actually the worst surf.
Really?
It is, yeah. So in Maine, anyway, fall through spring is the best, with winter being the most consistently good.
No kidding.
So I'll go out in January, things of that nature. But speaking of hurricane swell, so last September we had this series of hurricanes that would sort of come up the eastern seaboard and roll off. And sure enough, I went out one of these beautiful days, and big crew of surfers out there. This was in Wells, and another guy was right next to me, which I don't love. I'm not out there to make friends and hang out. So sure enough, I rode a wave, and they were big. They were sort of overhead-sized waves, which are, when you're there in the scene, it's huge. It feels like they're gigantic. In reality, these are probably 5 to 7 foot waves. I crashed into the water. As I was emerging, his surfboard hit me right in the face.
Oh.
And broke my nose. And I got hit so hard that I thought, the first thing I thought of was, I've heard when you get attacked by a shark, it's like being hit. And I thought, did I just get attacked? Like, did I just get bit by a shark? I was seeing spots. I was about to sort of get knocked out, and blood was everywhere. So I checked my teeth. They were all there. I had no idea really what had gone down. And so I checked my nose. So yeah, it was
The nose
a
didn't
mess.
feel right.
Yeah, no, it didn't look right either. So I was trying to fix it in the car on the way to the hospital, put it that way. I was making my adjustments.
You had to wear a bandage for a while, right?
I did, yeah. I had it fixed twice after that. So the first time they take you to Maine Med and they put you out, and they,
Oh, wow.
it was a mess. I was a disaster. Black eyes, the whole thing, and my nose was a disaster. And then I kind of got it right, not quite. I went back in, and you love this. So doctor's finally like, all right, what's your pain threshold? I'm like, just do your thing, man. I got to get this reasonably straight nose, and Novocaine up the nose and different things and shots, and he just started cranking on it with I can only compare it to like a lobster poker, one of those like straight, where you pull the meat out, one of those up the nose, and he just started cranking, and that was pretty bad. That was a low point.
And you're aware the whole time.
I was well aware.
Yeah.
So, you got it. I think it's about 80%.
Was it a while before you got back on?
It was because I didn't, I've never broken my nose. It was pretty fragile for a while. So I got back out in January. So that was September. So that was the longest time I've taken off. It was about 4 months. Wow. So yeah, I'll go out tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning looks okay.
Do you ask for your space now? Somebody comes up.
Yes, I'm very conscious. That's kind of scared me. I was like, man, I could have really got banged up here.
Yeah.
But hey, whatever.
One of your favorite movies is about surfing, right? You recommended it to me, and I sure enough
watched
it.
Yeah.
It's what's it called, The Endless Summer?
It's called Endless Summer. It's about a couple guys that travel the world seeking basically the perfect wave in these summer conditions, and so they travel basically following the summer. So they follow the equator and they go down into like South Africa and over to New Zealand and Australia and all that kind of thing, and circle back around to Hawaii, and they weave in some stories, and it's just a great buddy movie. It's a good journey movie as far as the
very
adventures.
60s with the music and the look of it.
I think I was born in the wrong time. I gravitate towards those simpler moments, And
what's the most exotic place that you've gone surfing?
Oh gosh, I don't get far. I mean, some Florida stuff, and my life is very simple. I get up in the morning, fly down to Wells or Moody, Algonquin, that area, do my thing, and I'm back before anybody knows I was gone. So it's a very early morning kind of situation. Going somewhere, that'd be awesome, but you kind of got to know what you're getting yourself into and the conditions. It's hard just to arrive some new spot and think you're going to go out and rent a board and do your thing without any research and that kind of thing.
We had our producer, Ricky, over there. Hey, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
He actually saw you out there once. And he did like a double take, right? You did a double take. Ricky says, "Is that our mayor? Is he out surfing?"
Is that a fat guy in a wetsuit?
Yeah. And I was like, yes, that's him. He surfs. So we knew when we got you in here for this interview that we wanted to ask you about surfing. Yeah. This has been great.
Well,
we want to thank you so much for agreeing to be our first guest. This is an experiment. This is we're calling it our pilot, and we hope that response to this will be encouraging enough for us to continue.
Awesome.
So we thank you very much for believing in this and trusting in this and coming aboard and being our first interview. It's
you guys will do amazing. I don't have to believe in anything. I'm fully confident in all your abilities, and it's going to be a big success. So
thank you.
I'm excited to see sort of where you go with it.
Excellent. Sure. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed this.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right, we're very excited for our next guest, the band B-Side, with Lowry Robertson and Josh Randall. They're here to perform 2 songs from their brand new album. It came out just a couple of weeks ago, June 21st. From their new album, It Started That Way, which can be purchased at all musical outlets. Ladies and gentlemen, B-Side.
This is one from the album. It's called Melancholy. My first morning on this gray earth, started asking all around what it is all worth. Is that some kind of curse? Learned by that evening how to cry myself to sleep. I got no answers all day, questions all too deep. They said,
This next song is called Northern Summertime.
Front porch swing grass beneath my feet. Kids playing in the rain, days we should keep. Look forward to it all year long, and it's gone. Talking about the northern summertime. Northern summertime. Northern summertime. Northern summertime, yeah, it's summertime.
Oh, yeah.
Iced blue and flags flying everywhere. Fireworks brightly streaming, summer's finally here. Look forward to it all year long, then it's gone. Talking about the northern summertime. Northern summertime, northern summertime, northern summertime, yeah, it's summertime.
Oh, yeah.
Days along, the sky's so bright. Stars at night sing a song, sing along. Look forward to it all year long, then it's gone. Talking about the northern summertime. Northern summertime. Northern summertime. Northern summertime, yeah, it's summertime.
Oh, yeah.
Don't blink, it's gone, the days grow dark. It seems so long, but soon we'll be mowing the lawn. Look forward to it all year long, and it's gone. Talking about the northern summertime. Northern summertime, northern summertime, northern summertime, yeah, it's summertime.
Oh, yeah.
Look forward to it all year long, then it's gone. Talking about the northern summertime. Northern summertime. Northern summertime. Northern summertime. Yeah, it's summertime.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. That was Josh Randall and Lowry Robertson of B-Side. There's more where those two songs came from on their new album, It Started That Way. It can be found anywhere where music can be found. As for this episode, thank you very much for listening. We'll catch you next time on Hey Sanford.